name is Vernon Walker, and I am the Director of Content and External Strategy at the Robert Schachenbach Foundation. And for those who are not familiar with the Robert Schachenbach Foundation, the Robert Schachenbach Foundation is committed to realizing Henry George's vision of a world in which progress does not beget poverty, but instead eliminates it through just public policies that recognize the basic equality of all people, our common claim to Earth's resources, and the inherent value of community. And today we are gathered to talk about the Massachusetts Distinguished Planner Lecture Series. Schachenbach Foundation signed a gift agreement with Tufts University for an annual lecture series each spring, with the keynote being a Massachusetts-based retired or retiring practitioner in the area of urban, regional, or community planning. I am glad that we have two guests with us who were a part of the 2024 lecture series. We have Justin Hollander, who is a professor in the Department of Urban and Environmental Policy and Planning at Tufts University and is a fellow of the American Institute of Certified Planners. And we have Ralph Wilmer, who was the keynote at the 2024 annual lecture series. And Ralph currently serves as the ethics officer for the American Institute of Certified Planners. He retired in 2022 after a career as a planning consultant and technical assistance program manager for the Metropolitan Area Planning Council based in Boston. He was inducted as a fellow of the American Institute of Certified Planners in 2010.
Nice to be here. Thank you, Vernon.
Glad to be here.
Yes, glad to have you here. So this past April 2024, Ralph, you were the keynote speaker for the second annual Massachusetts Distinguished Planner Leadership Series. What did your remarks focus on? Could you share with us, what did you want the audience to walk away with after hearing your remarks?
Well, I think one of the purposes of this lecture series is to, since it's done through the accredited planning schools in Massachusetts, is to try to encourage and inspire the next generation of land use planners, whether they stay in Massachusetts or move on to other locations. So overall, I talked about my career and then tried to make a number of points about how one thinks about their career in planning and how they might proceed as they move forward upon graduation from their planning program, wherever they might end up. Massachusetts is blessed with 5 accredited planning schools, and there may be a couple more in the wings over the next couple of years. And I went to Tufts. I went to Tufts well before it was an accredited planning program. But I spent most of my career as a planning consultant working in the private sector. I did that for about 2/3, 3/4 of my career. And then I ended my career at MAP, the Metropolitan Area Planning Council, which was my only public sector job. I started off working as a planner in an environmental and land use law firm, and then I moved over to a consulting firm that was founded more as a transportation engineering and design firm. And then I started working for a regional planning agency. So over the years, I wound up working with agencies or employers that were more based in planning, and we were able to speak the same language a lot better. But I think some of the points that I wanted to make would include the fact that although I started my career as a private sector planner, I would say a lot of the colleagues that I've known and grown to work with over the years, many of them started off in the public sector and then moved over to the private sector. I did the opposite. And if you look at the membership of the American Planning Association, our professional association, about 2/3 of the membership are public sector planners, whether they work for local government, county or regional government, or state or federal government. So you know, a big majority of the membership of APA start off in the sector. But having said that, you want to, regardless of where you end up working, you want to make sure that you really understand the nuances of planning law, zoning laws in the state in which you work or in which you would like to work, and especially if you decide that you want to stay in Massachusetts. Massachusetts has some very quirky and archaic planning statutes, and zoning statutes. So take advantage when you're in school of the opportunities that are given to you to work on projects where you may learn these things. You know, Justin has been very involved with the aspects of the Tufts program that get students involved in projects for real life clients. Those kinds of projects are very important. Get to really see what happens in the real world, how to react to it. It may be a little hard to understand all of that stuff. You don't get all of that stuff in the classroom. To take advantage of those opportunities to work on real life projects and get the on the ground experience. I also suggested that people think about, as they move through their career, to recognize the fact that they may not always start off doing the kind of work that they might have dreamt about while they were in school. You know, you may have these ideas about, you know, making significant progress in the sustainability field and changing policies and moving the needle within your municipality or county, wherever you may end up working. But a lot of entry-level planners are going to start their careers doing perhaps less exciting types. They be involved in permit reviews. They may be involved in writing staff reports. They may be involved in staffing planning board or commission meetings and writing minutes and things along those lines. And that's just par for the course. Eventually, you will start to find ways to take advantage of the opportunities given to you by your employer so that you can move up the ladder. You can start to work on more exciting projects. But planning is a transformational vocation, and eventually you will be given those opportunities to work on projects that may have longer lasting impacts on the community in which you work. But also, and I think a lot of planning programs are starting to recognize this as well, the planning field has grown substantially since you know, when I started my career in the 80s and 90s. You know, then land use planning was focused on the traditional topics that you think about when you think about land use planning, such as zoning, housing, transportation, infrastructure, things along those lines. But now the planning field has really expanded, and I saw this a lot when I was working at MAPC, because we had a lot of departments that focused on some of these issues. That includes public health, arts and culture, energy, food policy, sustainability, more of the social aspect of planning and the human impacts, which is something that attracted me to the Tufts program well before it even became an accredited planning program. But all of these things are integrated when you think about it. And they all are interrelated, and understanding those interrelationships, I think, is also important. You can still be a land use generalist, which probably describes my career more so than some others. But there are certainly opportunities to get involved in some of the other aspects of planning, and as you grow in your career, you can specialize in a topic that might interest you. I think just a couple of other things that I would mention as advice would be to learn as you go, attend meetings. It can't hurt for you to just attend some meetings that you're not actually involved with, just to see how the local planning boards and commission work, attend conferences, webinars. There are lots of opportunities to learn more than what you would learn in the classroom as you do that. Get involved in the American Planning Association. I have made countless friends and met colleagues that have become great personal friends, but have also been great mentors and teachers. And that collective experience, I think, has helped me a lot in my career. And then ultimately, as you move forward, pursue your certification in the profession. I'm a member of the American Institute of Certified Planners. AICP has started to make it easier for one to do that. You need to have had experience first. You can take the exam whenever you want. So there's some advantage perhaps doing that in the early part of your career before, out of school. So I think that would sum up some of the advice that I tried to give to our future planners.
Oh, that sounds fantastic. Thank you so much for dropping those nuggets of wisdom. And also, I would be remiss if we didn't mention the other academic partners that is a part of the planning and that were a part of the planning. Boston University, one of my alumni, Tufts, as we mentioned, UMass Boston, Harvard University Graduate School of Design, and Northeastern University School of Public Policy and Urban Affairs. So, and along with other partners, so we wanted to make sure that we mentioned all of the academic partners, because Ralph mentioned the 5 schools that are part of the American Planning Association, Massachusetts chapter. And again, thank you so much for that insightful answer and also sharing the wisdom and that you shared back then with this audience that will listen to this recording. And it's very helpful for me. Justin, so you were in the audience. Could you share with us, how do you think the audience received some of the points that Ralph shared earlier this year?
Yeah, no, it was really great. We're all really appreciate Ralph making the effort to not just kind of like repurpose a standard PowerPoint that he's given 100 times, but to really take some time to reflect on his long and successful career. And I think people appreciated that that he was able to really kind of make some connections with various things that has happened to him, and be able to offer this really valuable advice to the students. So if you think about what is the point of this lecture, why do this? It is largely around supporting the students. We have this really extraordinary community of planning students in Massachusetts, really kind of unlike anywhere else in the country, maybe even the world. So, to be able to kind of bring all these students together and have them be able to exchange ideas and learn from someone who's had a long and distinguished career, I think that's really special. But it also was a chance. We had a decent showing actually from professional planners, members of the Massachusetts chapter of the American Planning Association. So also a good opportunity for them to network and to connect with those students and faculty who were there. So, overall, really happy. And just to, again, I want to express my gratitude to the Schockenbach Foundation for being such an important sponsor of this, and that contribution that they made, in addition to contributions that many individuals, professional students, and some of the other planning schools have made. We were able to create this endowment so that'll allow us to be able to host this lecture really in perpetuity.
Oh, yes, thank you. That sounds fantastic. And we are glad here at the foundation, we're glad to have entered the gift agreement with Tufts, and we're glad to provide some funding that has helped bring this to fruition. So, Justin, you are a member of the faculty at the Tufts UEP, or Urban and Environmental Planning Department, and you have significant experience in the planning field. As one of the leaders that helped plan the second annual lecture series earlier this year. What were some of the things that you thought that went well that really surprised you, perhaps compared to the first lecture?
Yeah. Well, so by doing this every year, we get to, get a different set of advice, a different kind of perspective. And our first speaker, Peter Lowett, who himself, is really accomplished, wonderful person, and he was able to kind of tell some really compelling stories about his own career. But his work has been largely in the public sector, where Ralph is essentially the opposite, where most of Ralph's career has been the private, though as he just mentioned, he did end his career in the public sector. And so, that is just it was really refreshing, I think, for the audience, kind of hearing that, that different perspective, and for Ralph to be able to kind of make sense of how that those different experiences of being public versus private, that you can make a difference. We can, kind of coming back to, how you, Vernon, you started us off kind of thinking about, like, what is it even that the Schalkenbach Foundation is here for? So we're talking about the big picture of making progress to try to, address issues around poverty and to create public policies that create just solutions that are sustainable and support environmental benefit. I mean, how do you do this? Urban planning is how you do it. It's a career that really allows people to get involved in that kind of work on a day-to-day basis. Is every day going to be amazing? No, I think that's what Ralph was alluding to. And sometimes the work that you're asked to do is not. But coming from the private sector, coming from the public sector, there are opportunities to really advance both the mission of the Schalkenbach Foundation, both Henry George's vision, and also kind of like advance our own kind of things that we care about. I was just a moment ago, before we started recording, I was telling Vernon, I was talking about this effort that me and my students are working on at Tufts to help a nearby community implement a new public transit system, bus rapid transit. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that could be transformative for the people who live there, who work there. So how do you like fight for something like that? Well, planning. That's the field that we have Ralph and I have chosen, and that's we think is a way to kind of really advance these goals.
That sounds phenomenal. Thank you for your incredible work around that, Justin, and your inspiring answer. That was fantastic. Ralph, coming back to you now, you've had a long, successful career and experience being a master planner. And you've also had experience planning related to land use and open space and resilient planning, etc. What are some critical lessons and key lessons that you learned from your career that you'd like to share with those who are currently in the planning field or who are considering joining the planning field?
Sure. So first of all, I just want to piggyback on Justin's recent remarks. One of the things that drove me, for instance, to move from the private sector to the public sector, and in particular to MAPC, was that MAPC is a mission-driven organization. So when we think about some of the issues that we're dealing with, such as equity and providing housing opportunities for all and safe transportation and things along those lines, that was part of the mission of an organization like MAPC. So I think one lesson learned is, if you have those kinds of goals, think about who it is that you might be working for and what kind of work you might be doing. And, again, it may not happen right away, but there are opportunities out there to achieve your goals through mission-based organization. That's where you want to end up. But, as I think we've alluded to earlier, planning is a transformational vocation, and it's not necessarily the easiest vocation. So you need to develop a thick skin and understand that you can't take things personally. over the years, especially when I was working as a consultant, there were times when I was thrown under the bus, and I have the tire track scars to prove it. But there's a lot of acrimony nowadays in public meetings, I think more so than there was when I started my career. So you do need to develop a thick skin. It can be disheartening, but know at the end that you're doing the right thing and that there are ways to achieve your goals and to get to the result that you hope to get to at the end of the day. And learn also to expect the unexpected. I've had meetings, for instance, where I went in with my team and we had a very set idea as to what it was that we wanted to accomplish and how we wanted to accomplish it. And I've had a couple of meetings where, members of the public thought that they had a better idea, and we had to, think on our feet and pivot the meeting as needed, so that we could eventually get some sort of consensus coming out of the meeting. And if you have to do that by changing plans at the last minute, be prepared to do those kinds of things. And I think one other final thing that I would say, and as AICP ethics officer, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention this. Read the AICP Code of Ethics, regardless of whether or not you're currently a certified planner, because it'll provide guidance, not only the rules that you should avoid running afoul of, but the first part of the code is aspirational principles. And if you look at that, you could see it sort of summarizes the planning profession in a very succinct way. Talks about providing equal opportunity for all participants in the planning process, providing information and knowledge to members of the public and members of your profession, and also to ensure that you're doing so with integrity. And I think it serves as a good foundation for entering the planning process.
Thank you for that outstanding advice and those key lessons learned from your career and wisdom shared for current folks, practitioners that are in the field and those who are considering joining the field. Justin, perhaps you could share with us some insights into next year's event. Where will it be held if that has been decided? Who will be the keynote speaker if that has been decided? And any other germane information you could share with us related to the lecture series happening in the spring of 2025.
Yeah, so we have put together a committee with some of the representatives of the different colleges and the Massachusetts chapter of the APA to represent the profession. And we have looking at March as our time frame. And Northeastern University, which is in Boston, has agreed to host. So we're really excited about that. And the committee right now is vetting a bunch of names, possibilities, and we're hoping to be able to make an announcement in the next 30 to 60 days.
That is phenomenal. And we here at the Robert Schuckenbach Foundation, once that announcement has gone public, we will also publicize it and share it broadly and widely. And I want to thank you both for taking the time out of your busy schedules to be here this morning with me.